What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know so I can.
And we could talk about this a little bit, and this wasn't on the discussion, but this relates to this. Since coaches are wanting to do this because of the transfer portal window coming after the fact, I've never liked the transfer portal being in the spring. I'm gonna just be honest. Like, I get it for you players, but like, if you can't determine after your coach leaves at the beginning of the year that it's time to enter the transfer portal, you royally F your team by leaving in the spring. You practice with these guys. You're in the same lunchroom as these guys every day. You're working out with these guys every day. You're recovering with these guys. You're learning a different playbook. And then just to get up and go somewhere else, not only do you cause financial hardship for that team as far as the academic portion of it, but on the other side of that, to me, how would you guys feel if some new dude just transferred into your school? You feel like he'd probably do that the next spring trial that comes up.
I think that they need to have one transfer window, and it needs to be the week in between the season ending and classes starting.
The first week of the playoffs, and for 60, I think it should be open for 60 days.
60 days?
60 days.
From when to when? Because you have to remember that classes start in mid-January.
See,
because you got the academic calendar like rules.
Yeah,
that's the tough thing about it. Is like everyone, you have until like from mid-December until mid-January when you're not in class and you have to be enrolled.
Ooh, you bring up a good point.
Which is why I think like if you have a week or 2 weeks between
the end
of the season and the beginning of the second of like that winter
I didn't even think of that.
Like, but I still think you should only have one window, right? But yeah, that's what makes this thing so tough is you can't just make everything based off of the football calendar, right? Because you have to have the academic calendar in mind, which, you know, everyone's is a little different, but generally you have from mid-December to mid-January where students aren't in classes. And that's why you have the winter transfer window and the early signing day period in that time. So that way students can be enrolled in a new school, but for their spring semester. Now, I think that's okay. I think you should just abolish the one that's the transfer window in the spring, because now you have to, it creates so many problems like this with the spring games. You have to re-recruit players on your team after the spring. And sometimes you have guys who transfer in the winter and then hit the portal again in the spring. It's stupid. Like when do you just call a spade and realize that the current calendar for, you know, the off season is screwed up because of the transfer windows?
Yeah, something has to be done. And the springtime transfer window, they just need to completely do away with this. But we can't talk about this though. Do you guys think that they should bring back a sitting year after a transfer or put in a cap on a number of times? I'll give what my idea has always been. I talked to my wife about this too, because she was telling me how like the transfer portal works at one point in time and whatnot. And I was like, what is the main reason why kids say that they transfer away from a school? Overwhelmingly.
It's either money or homesickness generally, or playing time. One of those three.
Coaching change.
Oh.
That's the overwhelming number one reason. And well, it's starting to mix now. It's probably tied. Number one is transferring because of money, NIL. But I'm not really considering that a factor because it's so new. But it used to be the overwhelming amount of times that a kid transfers is because their coach went to a different school and are either going to go travel there, or either they're going to a coach where they feel on another team where they feel they got kind of that same treatment, right? So with that being said, you have one transfer period in your first couple years, and that is done by a waiver for several reasons. Either it's your coach leaving, either it's to be in proximity of your family family sickness, whatever the case may be. Like, it has to be approved by the NCAA or while you're transferring out. But coaching change can be number one on that list. Now, when you become draft eligible, you either can go to the draft or you can transfer to another school. Those are the two transfers that I would give kids right there. And it would knock a lot of this attrition down for a lot of schools, for sure. Because not only do you have to have a reason why you have to transfer out, you've set enough time where you are eligible to go and make more money in the NFL or going to try your hand there, or you could transfer out to another school and improve your draft stock that way, which I think would be more attractive to a lot of schools. Let's say Missouri right now, right? Brady Cook is leaving. That was their guy for damn near 4 years. Let's say Grayson McCall is sitting there, you know, before he's not healthy. He's done. He's got his grades. He's not enrolled at the school anymore, did all his classes, but he's eligible for the draft. If he decides to enter in the transfer portal, no harm, no foul, pal. Come and play for our team. But I think those are the two. That's how I would structure the transfer portal. I'm not sure. Feel free to beat that up to death. But like, I just think in college football, you need to have restrictions because the medical, and then the medical thing too. Like, I understand that, but if you have two medical red shirts, unfortunately, we can't help you outside of that, bro. Like, it's at this point in time, you just made out of cookie dough. It is what it is. We can't have any more cameras in situations where you're damn near 30 years old playing college football. Yeah. And I love Cam Rising, but that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm of the opinion that you should get one undergrad transfer, and once you graduate, you can transfer again. Simple as that. There's no real exceptions. Your coach leaves. Sorry, man, you've already used your transfer. You know, that kind of thing. Like, I think that when you choose a program to commit and sign with, that should actually, you know, that should mean something. It's not something you can just change on a whim, right? So that forces you to evaluate, you know, all your options, right? Because you have a lot of players who they just jump from school to school, and nowadays and before this era, do you think that Ed Oliver would have stayed at Houston after he signed there? The first 5-star prospect ever to sign with a group of 5 team. Do you think he would have stuck with Houston and Tom Herman? Do you think, I mean, and nowadays, right? Do you think that after his freshman year that Ahmed Hardy would have transferred out of ULM? I mean, maybe you could probably argue that he still would have and use his one transfer in his undergrad transfer. Like, I just kind of see it as like, I think you just need some sort of limitations to get this under control, because I think that maybe some of the reasoning for allowing players to transfer is good. Increased opportunities. You know, if you're buried in the depth chart at a big school, you can go to a smaller school to revive your career. If you're balling out at a smaller school, you can make the move up, like Ahmed Hardy, to a Power 4 program where you can thrive on the big stage, right?
Yep.
But unlimited transfers, not having to sit out a year, and no limits on the total amount of transfers you can make is pure chaos. There needs to be some sort of rules and limitations to help, I guess, limit the amount of chaos that you have from season to season.